You're listening to The Social Workers on WCDB Albany.
Welcome to the Social Workers Radio Talk Show. I'm your co-host, Alyssa Lotmore, and today we have a special segment that's going to be talking about yoga and cognitive behavior therapy. With me today, I have Julie Greiner Ferris, who is a licensed independent social worker with over 25 years of experience in the treatment of mental health issues. She's a graduate of Boston College, and she's the co-creator of Yoga Cognitive Behavior Therapy. She is currently the program director of outpatient services at Riverside Community Care in Upton, Massachusetts. And with her is Manjit Kaur, who is the co-creator of Yoga Cognitive Behavior Therapy as well, and is a highly experienced psychologist practicing in Riverside Community Care at Upton and in private practice in Millis, Massachusetts. She's also a longtime yoga instructor. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Alyssa.
So let's just jump right in, because this is a really fascinating topic to me, because I've heard of cognitive behavior therapy. I know about yoga, but hearing them both together, this topic sparked my interest. So you have an upcoming workshop at UAlbany, and it's titled Yoga Cognitive Behavioral Therapy. And can you just start off with telling us the basic overview of what cognitive behavior therapy is?
Sure. Cognitive behavioral therapy is a very traditional and widely used form of psychotherapy. It's the gold standard today in treating symptoms of anxiety and depression. And it was developed by Aaron Beck and others, Albert Ellis. And the goal of cognitive behavioral therapy is to help people learn to rework the way they think, which changes problematic thought patterns to more productive ones. And when people begin to change the way they think, the working theory is that in turn they begin to, the way that they feel improves, and their behavior or the way that they act in their lives also shifts and improves.
So how is the connection between CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, and with yoga?
Right. So Manjit and I, about 10 years ago, were thinking about developing a anxiety management program here at the clinic. And we thought about sort of the blending of the two and how they might benefit the broad symptoms that people experience.
So, for example, we knew that CBT worked with the person's mind, and the research has shown that that also has a physical effect. And we also knew that yoga worked with the body, but that it also had a very calming effect on the mind. And so we put the two together, and we did a lot of research. We worked on it for quite a while, and we've come up with this model, and it seems to be very effective.
So if you think about the last time you were anxious, you just kind of remember that for a minute, you were probably having symptoms of thought, meaning worry or rumination or repetitive negative thinking, going over stories again and again. And you also had physical symptoms. Maybe your heart was racing, or your shoulders were tense, or your stomach was upset. And most people who experience emotional distress, anxiety, or depression will have both physical and cognitive symptoms. And so the Y-CBT model that Manjit and I have been developing over these years works and seeks to target both the physical and cognitive symptoms simultaneously by blending the yoga and the cognitive behavioral therapy in a group treatment model that's about there are 6 sessions. It's a 6-week group treatment model.
Okay, and I read that this is a research-based anxiety program. So what is some of the data showing about this in the 6-week type program?
Well, we have one published study and another one that's in final revisions now, and they all show about the same thing. So we've worked with 3 different populations. The first was the clinic setting, and in there you see about a 23% reduction in anxiety, and depression that occurs often with anxiety was reduced by 43%. And that's very significant. And that was a smaller sample. In the larger sample, we got almost the same results. And in the larger sample, we found that it was particularly effective. We broke it up into diagnostic categories. And we found that we got the people who had anxiety disorders or were diagnosed with depressive disorders got very, very large changes. We also worked with seniors and got roughly the same kind of results. 24% reduction in anxiety and 22% reduction in depression. In our teen model, same roughly idea, 25%, but the teen data is preliminary. And what's very striking there is that for depression, in 2 schools now, and still too small a sample, it's about 20, so I'm unwilling to say this is definitive, but we got 68 and 78% reductions in depression at the end of those 2 with the teen study.
Wow, that's amazing findings.
It's a little hard to say because it's so preliminary.
Yeah, but it's really exciting. And I'm guessing there are ways that people want to be more involved with this, or maybe are interested, but they might not have time. So can this yoga component be adapted to some place like an office setting so it's more accessible to those who want to use it? How would they go about that?
So when we developed, so all of the yoga that's used in Y-CBT, it's all very, very simple. We developed it for a clinic setting. So where folks, might not have familiarity with yoga or, a lot of physical strength or aptitude. So it's all very, very simple yoga. Manjit selected very specific yoga sets that target the unique physical symptoms and cognitive symptoms, thought issues related to anxiety. But all of the yoga is done in chairs. It's simple arm movements and a lot of corrective breath work. So absolutely, people who have taken been in the group that we run can absolutely use these strategies throughout their day. We also have a book that we collaborated with New Harbinger Press in 2017, where we adapted the group treatment that we have developed into a self-help workbook. So that's also something. It's called the Yoga-CBT Workbook for Anxiety. And so people can absolutely use that to develop some of these skills at home and use them throughout the day. Sure.
Yes. Dr. Khalsa, I was reading in your bio, you've been teaching yoga for a long time. You're also president of Sikh Dharma, which houses yoga. You do a lot with yoga outside of your day job, and you do a lot of yoga practice and helping people with that in the other parts of your life.
Sure. We have where the Sikh Dharma's ashram in Millis, Massachusetts. It's 22 acres. We have classes all the time there, and we just try to serve people as best we can there through using the yoga. And I do yoga. I also do a lot of meditating. We have an early morning practice that I try to do. It's a lot of fun, actually.
It's something I should have to try. I wanted to do yoga for a while, but I've never got the nerve to do the group format of it. So it's one of my goals to sort of try this out.
Well, that's one of the things that we've found really amazing about this, in the time that we've worked to sort of blend and create this model, that when we first started 10 years ago, there were lots and lots of people who didn't, yoga has sort of boomed in the last number of years. But when we first started, people really weren't comfortable with yoga. They didn't know much about yoga. And so, we worked really hard to create something that anybody could try and not feel sort of overwhelmed or intimidated by. Nobody has to sit on the floor. You don't have to wear special clothing. You don't need a yoga mat. It's really, some very simple strategies that can be easily embedded into people's daily lives. And the same with the cognitive behavioral therapy. The way that we use it is, we've created something that people can sort of fluidly use throughout their days and blends together very, very nicely, rather than sort of sitting down, with a complicated worksheet or something like that. We offer people simple strategies to just begin to shift things in a more positive direction in terms of the way that they manage their symptoms, the physical and cognitive symptoms of anxiety and depression.
I wanted to say also that the yoga is very short. When you go to a yoga class, you often have to hold a pose for quite a while. But in Y-CBT, we do those same things, but they're short, maybe a minute, 2 minutes at the most. So it moves along very quickly. So for someone who's brand new to it, it's very relaxing. And so we have our book that Julie mentioned, the Y-CBT Workbook for Anxiety, and the Yoga Y-CBT Workbook for Anxiety. And we also have several trainings. People can go to our website, y-cbt.com, or to our Facebook page, and they'll find out much more about us. And there's a lot about the different programs and what they are there.
Well, this is exciting. Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we end our segment?
No, just that we're really looking forward to coming to SUNY and doing our training there. We're really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I did go to get my BA from there.
Right.
Oh, you're an alum.
So Manjit is an alum, so that's very exciting too.
Yeah. Well, that's really exciting because I work with alumni as well. So that's actually a very added bonus for this interview. I did not realize that. So again, you've been listening to the Social Workers Radio Talk Show. This was a short segment, but very important topic on yoga, cognitive behavioral therapy, one that I think will interest many individuals. We were with Julie Greiner-Ferris and Dr. Manjit Khalsa. So thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you, Alyssa.
Yeah, thank you.